today I'm gonna take you through a Pilates introduction video. So basically I'm gonna explain the basics of Pilates, and I'm gonna take you through a few basics movement. I believe that to be able to do Pilates, you need to understand a little bit of anatomy. So this is why I have the board here. I just want to explain a few things just to make sure we're all on the same page, and also it's going to help you to understand what we're trying to achieve when we're actually doing Pilates. So the idea of Pilates, or the aim, is to work the deep core, the deep muscle of your core, so that include your transversus abdominis and your pelvic floor. They constitute the deep core unit with your multifidus in your back and your diaphragm at the top. Okay, so I have started to do a bit of a drawing. So imagine that this is your sternum, so this is here your sternum, and this is your rib cage, and here you have your pubis bone with your pelvis. All right, so the first muscle I want to talk about is your transversus abdominis, so your TVA. It's basically the deepest layer of core that you have in your trunk. I'm gonna simplify things a little bit, okay? So if you actually look online, what I'm saying is might be simpler than what you would read, okay? But it's just for a basic understanding. So your TVA, it attaches onto your sternum, onto your rib cage. Now you need to imagine that we are 3Ds, we're not 2Ds like my drawing. So it's really going all round through your back, onto your spine, and then round onto your hip. So if I draw that into a 2D here, so this is the attachment to the rib cage, then it goes around, attached onto your back, so this is where your vertebrae are, and then it attached onto your pelvis, side of your pelvis, and then all round. All right, and we have two, we have one on each side. So that's what I would call your transversus abdominis, okay, your TVA. So that's the deepest layer of your core. At the top here, we have the diaphragm, okay? And at the back here, we have what we call the multifidus, the small muscle in between your vertebrae. For today's, for Pilates in general, and for today's, what you need to remember is just how your TVA look, how your transversus abdominis looks, and then where is your diaphragm, which is easy, you all should know that, we're all breathing. And then next I'm going to talk about your pelvic floor. For your transversus abdominis, the main function of your transversus abdominis is to make your waistline smaller or bigger. So that's what you can see and what I'm going to ask you to do. The main role of your TVA in your body is to support your spine. So, and you need to remember that everything works together. There is not one single thing working by itself, okay? So that's for your transverse. And then the other muscle we're going to work on is your pelvic floor. Your pelvic floor is inside your pelvis. So you need to imagine that that's the front, and at the back here you have your sacrum with all the end of the vertebrae and the coccyx here. You have 3 layers of pelvic floor. So there is a deep layer that is basically attached around the sacrum. So it's quite deep at the back. So if you visualize your pelvis, the deep layer of your pelvic floor sits at the back. Oops. And then you have a more superficial layer that goes like this, roughly, and then you have another layer that goes up. What you need to remember is that the deep layer is at the back, around the sacrum, around the coccyx, and then the superficial layer are more in between the hip, okay? So the thing that everyone knows about Pilates is when they ask you to engage your core, they ask you to hold a P or a wind. I don't like the cue holding a P because that's only engage the superficial layer of the pelvic floor and you're missing the deeper layer. So when I'm gonna coach you through some movement, I'm gonna ask you to think about holding a wind, all right? Now, that will come when we talk about how to engage those muscles. So hopefully you understand that diaphragm, transverse abdominis, pelvic floor work all together. Their role is to support the spine and to support your body in your daily life, and to deal with the intra-abdominal pressure. So basically your organs not getting crushed when you do things, and those muscles are working to support. Now, we need to link this with the breathing. So in Pilates, it's really important where you breathe. So I'm going to talk about your diaphragm. In your everyday life, you will breathe somewhere that your body likes to breathe into. That's not really clear, but I'm about to clear it out. Meaning some of you will breathe through their tummy, some of you will breathe through their rib cage, or you're going to do a combination. And that's absolutely fine, nothing is wrong. When you come to perform Pilates or do some Pilates, you want to breathe exclusively through the rib cage. Okay, the idea is if you breathe through your tummy, then you can't engage those muscles because they have to let go to let you breathe, basically. So you need to think about breathing up. So the idea of the breathing in Pilates is called lateral thoracic breathing. So you want the rib cage to open sideways, all right? And you don't want the diaphragm to go too far down, okay? So I think that's enough in terms of anatomy. So what we're going to start with, we're going to start with your breathing. You have a few ways to do it. I'm going to do it sitting down. You could be lying down, you could be standing up. You choose, all right? So if you are sitting down, and I'll try to show you front view and side view, but if you're sitting down, basically I want you to put your hands first onto your tummy, and I want you to feel if you're breathing naturally through your tummy or if you're breathing somewhere else, basically. So just breathe. So I can feel my hands coming forward when I inhale. So okay, that's great, that's fine. So if I want to start to train my breathing for Pilates, I want to only be breathing through my rib cage, all right? So to help me with that, I'm gonna bring my hands onto my ribs with my thumb really into my back. Now, if you have any mobility issue, you could use a strap or a scarf. So I'm just going to demonstrate that. So I have a scarf. If I can't put my hand there, I'm just going to put the scarf around my back. I'm going to hold it quite tight. And then the idea is I can feel if I'm breathing through the scarf, all right? Otherwise, you just use your hand. And we're going to do a few of those. I'm going to show you front, side, and then back for you to understand the breathing. So have your hands or a scarf or a belt, and then the idea is that you want to breathe through the back of your rib cage. So my hands are moving sideways. I want my shoulder to stay relaxed. And for me to be able to only breathe here, I can't be taking very deep breath, all right? It needs to be very shallow breathing. We're not in yoga or in meditation when you want to do very big breathing with the whole abdomen. You try to take shallow breath and just focusing on the ribcage opening. And when I do this as well, I'm not pushing with my back muscle to try to make it move. I'm just trying to push my ribcage with my breathing, okay? I'll show you a back view to be slightly different. So hopefully you can see my ribcage is moving. Nothing else, all right? I would advise you to pause the video and to practice that until you have a good feeling for it. Now, in my opinion, this is the hardest part of Pilates, getting the breathing through the rib cage, okay? So don't feel like you should be able to do this straight away because it's not that obvious, okay? So that was for the breathing. In Pilates, we breathe lateral breathing, okay? Now, I'm going to talk to you about your transverse abdominis, okay? I'm just going to take my board back. And we're going to do an exercise that I find is amazing to give you awareness of your transverse, but also to teach you control over it. So you want to imagine that we're going to cut your transverse into 3 different parts. The one just above your pubis bone, the fiber are like this. They are slightly coming up, which means that when you engage that part of the muscle, the tummy will go up and in, okay? That's just for your information. Some of you might find that absolutely amazing, or you will just not be the point, but it's fine. So that's going to be what we're going to call number 1, all right? So bear in mind your belly button is here, roughly. Then number 2, they are slightly as well, like this. So that's your number 2. And then just above here, the rib cage, they are actually parallel to the spine, and that's your number 3. I don't know if you can actually see my board from where I am, but basically you cut your tummy in 3 parts, okay? So I don't know if you can see me coming here, but what I'm going to ask you and what I'm going to demonstrate is we're going to engage 1, only 1, then your aim is to engage 1 plus 2, 1 plus 2 plus 3, okay? Now, this is not a biceps curl or a squat. The range of movement is very small, okay? So don't look for big movement and big haha moment, it's very small, okay? So the aim is to do 1, 2, and then, so 1 plus 2, 1 plus 2 plus 3, sorry. The idea is to engage when you exhale. Why? Because when we exhale, your tummy naturally comes in. Okay, so we're using this to help you. Off for demonstration now. So you can do this by being sitting down, standing up, or one of my favorite positions would be an all-fours position. So I'll demonstrate sitting down and all-fours position. If you will be able to see more when I go into all-fours position, okay? So basically, if I'm sitting down, of course I need to be sideways, otherwise you're not going to see much. So I'm sideways. I'm trying to tighten my top. So you want to have your hands, I'll show you, just above your pubis bone, okay? So touch your bone you have here in front of your pelvis, hand just above your pubis bone, and basically you want to just engage that coming in. So that's coming out, and then I just want to do 1, it's coming in slightly, it's coming out. It's coming in slightly, it's coming out, okay? Small movement. Ideally you want to inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. So again, just that part of your tummy just above the pubis bone is coming in, okay? One cue that can work for you is to think that your underwear here wants to go away, the skin that is here wants to go away from your underwear, alright? So if you hear, or your tummy wants to go away from your hand, and that's quite a small movement, alright? So I'm just going to go like this so you don't have the box. So tummy is relaxed, alright? And then here the idea is I'm just going to engage here, number 1. And relax, and just number 1. And relax, and just number 1. And relax, and just number 1. And relax. So having your hand there will give you feedback. Okay, I would really advise you to have your hands all over your trunk for the breathing and for that exercise to feel what's going on. Once we've done 1, we're going to do 1 plus 2. Okay, so the idea is now you have your pubis bone here, your belly button. You go engage 1, then 2. All right. So if I'm sideways, tummy relax, and now I want to do 1 plus 2 basically. So it's going to look like this. And relax, and again, and relax, and again, and relax, and again. Alright, what you can do if you find that this is not working, or how the hell I'm doing this, you can apply very small pressure underneath your hand to give your body feedback, saying, okay, you need to engage this one first, then this one. This one, then this one. This one, then this one, in this one. If you've never done it before, again, be patient, you just need to practice. If you are a woman and you have had kids, that's a very good exercise to rehab your transversus abdominis, and it might feel quite tricky to localize the muscle. So again, just be patient, keep practicing, take your hand to give you feedback, okay? Now we're going to do 1 + 2 + 3. You guess what it's going to look like now. So I'm going to keep my hand here, but the idea is I'm going to engage here as well at the end. So tummy relax, and then we engage 1 + 2 + 3. And relax, and re-engage 1 + 2 + 3. And relax, and re-engage, and relax, and re-engage, and relax. Great. So again, that's dynamic movement for your transverse. It's a nice way to develop your body awareness and being able to control that muscle. Okay, so that was for the transverse. Now let's talk about your pelvic floor. So your pelvic floor is inside your pelvis, okay? You can't really touch it. You can't really see it. If we wanted to see your pelvic floor, we would need to be cut at the top of our pelvis, and we need to see from the top, okay? For your pelvic floor, that's my personal way to coach it. If you have done Pilates in the past, you may have not been taught like this, so just bear that in mind. It's my way of doing it. So for your pelvic floor, I want you to sit down, stand up, whatever you want, and I want you to imagine that you're about to pass gas. Of course, you don't want to do that, right? So imagine you're closing your back sphincter. Your back sphincter, yes. All right, you've got that sensation, now let go. All right, so when you do your exercises, you don't want to be closing the back sphincter like you just done, okay? Instead, I want you to go back to that area of your back sphincter, and instead of closing it like a hole, I want you to lift it up like it's in the lift. English, yeah? So instead of closing your back passage, think about lifting the back passage up as high as you can. Imagine you want to lift it to your belly button, and then you let go, okay? So it feels like an elevator, okay? So you want to lift the back passage up, and then you want to let go. You want to lift the back passage up, and then you want to let go, all right? Then what you can do to refine the engagement is, instead to just seeing the back passage, you can see the space between your back and your front passage, and then you want to lift that space up and down instead of just the back. So the in-between, lifting it up towards your navel and then relaxing it down. Again, don't close the hole, don't hold your pee, just think lifting up, all right? So the idea with the pelvic floor as well is you should be able to engage at different degree, okay? So you want to think level 1, and then the level 2, level 3, and then relaxing. Now, one thing you need to bear in mind in those exercises that we're going to do today, at no moment you should be giving it your 100% engagement. I would say 100% engagement would be you running for a 100-meter sprint. That would be maximum engagement in those muscles, probably, or a very, very heavy squat. But when we're doing Pilates, we always look at what it's called tension to task. So you just want to have enough engagement in those muscles to help you perform the exercise. So here, today is more introduction. It's just discovering the muscle. So the idea is, can you control your pelvic floor? Then can you do maybe more contraction, less contraction? Discover the range of movement you have in those muscles, okay? Once you've done that a few times, so again, pause the video, do it, and then come back to me. I want you to bring them together. So you're going to do back passage or pelvic floor and your transverse we've done together. Okay, so the idea is to do now. So I'm going to do my pelvic floor at the same time. Bear in mind you can't see it, obviously, that would be strange otherwise. So relax everything, and then you're going to think inhale, exhale, I'm going to engage back passage 1, 2, 3, transverse 1, 2, 3. And I'm letting go, and I'm doing back passage, transverse, and I'm letting go, and I'm doing again, Relax everything. Exhale. Engage pause. Relax. Exhale. Engage pause. Relax. Exhale. Engage pause. Relax. Exhale. Engage pause. Alright, you've got the idea. That's a very nice way to do it. Now, if you're sitting here trying to do it and nothing's really happening and you get no feedback from your body, the all-fours position will be what you need to practice then, alright? So basically, all-fours position means that you're going to be on your knee, on your hands, on your mat, alright? And you're going to use the gravity of the floor, or the gravity of the floor? That, well, you know what I mean. You're going to use gravity to help you to get feedback, okay? I'm just trying to tighten my top to explain to you. So you're going to be here, that's it. So I'm relaxed, alright? Now I'm going to let go my tummy, and then you want to do exactly the same, but because you are in all fours, you actually can really let go and feel like your tummy is hanging toward the floor, alright? Once you have that sensation of I'm hanging towards the floor, then I want to go for, and 1, 2, 3. And I'm relaxing again. Tummy goes out, and I'm re-engaging. And I let go, and then I let go, and then I re-engage. And I let go, and then I re-engage, always 1, 2, 3, from the bottom with my pelvic floor. And I let go, alright? I'm not too sure with all the layers I have you can see anything, but hopefully you understand the idea. You will have more feedback because your tummy will be hanging down for you to take it up, alright? That exercise is again very good to develop your awareness and then get the feeling of what muscle is engaging and how to engage it. Once you've done that, if you feel that's okay, that's good, then the idea is whatever we're going to do, and I'm going to develop everything in another video, is basically holding it in, alright? So if I go back into my all-fours position, and I've been playing about with engage, relax, now my job is here in that all-fours position, so my back is nice and straight, I'm not like this, or like this, I'm nice and straight. The idea is now I'm going to engage my core, so I'm going to do back, passage up, belly button in, that's me engage, and I'm just going to hold that engagement while I breathe through my back. Can you breathe through your back while holding your core? Yeah. And again, here it's very, very obvious that you don't want to have your maximum core engagement. You are only in all-fours position breathing. You're not performing a hard exercise, okay? So really bear that in mind. Don't over-tense and don't look for a very big tension, all right? I think that's good to work on. You'll get another video very soon with much more exercises to develop this. But if you can practice this, that's great. If I am unclear, if you feel confused, if you have any question, please reach out. I'm more than happy to reply to all your questions. Thank you.